The decision regarding Tomahawk missiles for Ukraine seems to have been finalized, and several factors point to this. First, the United States of America will make an important statement tomorrow, October 15, regarding arms supplies to Ukraine. This statement was made today by the American Permanent Representative to NATO, Matthew Whitaker. Second, on October 17, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, will travel to Washington to sign a major deal with Donald Trump on the supply of Tomahawk missiles. And that's not all. Let me remind you, the Ukrainian delegation is currently working in Washington to prepare all the documents. Third, many skeptics claimed that Ukraine would not receive Tomahawk missiles because the armed forces of Ukraine have nothing to launch them with. They said, well, there are no such launches for Tomahawks that could be given to Ukraine. So, today the American defense company Oshkosh Defense officially presented a mobile launcher for long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles. The launcher, called HMAV, was developed based on already proven tactical vehicles, and in essence, the launcher is very similar to high-mobility artillery rocket system. It is capable of carrying up to 4 Tomahawk cruise missiles at once and can autonomously launch them at targets. And finally, this is the fourth point. Trump intrigued everyone with his statement about supplying Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine against the backdrop of increasingly erratic behavior from the Russians. My name is Alexei Pechi. Today is October 14th on the calendar, and right now, in this episode, we discuss arguments supporting Ukraine eventually getting Tomahawk missiles. And this could happen in the near future. And we'll discuss the factors that indicate there is very active preparation for the transfer of these missiles. Before we start this episode, I want to remind you that every day on this YouTube channel, several news and analytical segments are released so that you can stay up to date with absolutely all the news. That's why I recommend subscribing to this YouTube channel, and I ask you to like this video, leave your comment below, and also subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechi News. The link is in the description of this video. And friends, if you want to support Alexei Pechi's channel, you can do so with any donation. All the links and details are in the description of this video. It says there, support Alexei Pechi's channel. Choose the format that's convenient for you. I will be grateful for any support you give. So the decision about Tomahawks for Ukraine, you could say, has been made. This week, a new announcement is expected about supplying weapons to Ukraine through the NATO PUREL program. It provides for the purchase of weapons from the United States. United States Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker announced this today. The ambassador answered very mysteriously, but affirmatively when asked whether the PUREL program would be supplemented with new types of weapons. Quote, thanks to PUREL, President Trump has given our European NATO allies, as well as Canada, the opportunity to acquire the world's best American weapons and ammunition and transfer them to Ukraine. Ukraine needs this, wants this, and we must keep supplies flowing so our allies join procurement more actively. Recently, several more countries announced their intention to join the program. This followed earlier statements from Canada, the Netherlands, Germany, and a joint pledge by Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. I urge countries that haven't joined yet to do so now. Ukraine must receive everything it needs for its defense, and the fastest and most practical way for allies to help is to invest in PUREL. Here's an interesting moment. Just yesterday, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that there are currently 3 options for financing the supply of long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Quote, one of the options is the NATO program PUREL, that's the one we're working through. NATO buys various types of weapons from the United States with its own funds and then gives us what we need. And against the backdrop of Whitaker's statement, the following news sounds much more interesting. United States President Donald Trump will meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House on Friday, October 17. The American president has confirmed this meeting. Zelensky also said that yes, he is indeed planning to go to Washington. Zelensky clarified that the main topic of the meeting will be providing Ukraine with air defense systems and long-range strike capabilities to put pressure on Russia. Insiders in Kiev and Washington now say the meeting's main topic is actually Tomahawk missiles. And let me remind you that the Ukrainian delegation is currently working in Washington on finalizing the documents. And it's also important to remember the meeting. It is the meeting between Trump and Zelensky that will be a continuation of their phone conversations on October 11 and 12, during which they discussed Russian attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure and the possibility of supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk cruise missiles. The last issue will be central during the planned talks at the White House. Two sources familiar with the preparations for the meeting told Axios about this. There are certain issues that cannot be discussed over the phone, one of the sources told Axios. Previously, Trump mentioned he could talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin about sending long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. And then his quote, "Maybe I'll tell Putin, listen, if this war is not resolved, I'll send Tomahawks to Ukraine. I can send them." Tomahawk is an incredible weapon, very offensive, and honestly, Russia doesn't need that. Then, Donald Trump expressed hope that Putin would agree to end the war. Otherwise, it will end badly for him. He means the Tomahawks will eventually fly toward Russia. Volodymyr Zelensky, in turn, claimed that if Washington provides Tomahawks to Kyiv, the strikes will be carried out only against military targets. But Volodymyr Zelensky also considers energy infrastructure in Moscow to be among those military targets. Well, Vladimir Putin had previously warned that providing Tomahawks to Kyiv would mark a qualitatively new stage of escalation and destroy relations between Moscow and Washington. Putin also emphasized that Russian air defenses are ready to shoot down American missiles, and that their use by Ukraine will not change the balance of power on the battlefield. I'll say right away, people are already speculating on this topic, how many missiles America will give to Ukraine. Some say 20, some say 50, but for now I wouldn't make any predictions about it at all. The question isn't about the quantity, the question is about the very fact of the transfer itself, which at the initial stages is actually an attempt at pressure. Nevertheless, it seems the decision has been made. And against this background, very often unwashed, disrespected by me, Russians come to the comments under my videos and write, "And how are you Ukrainians planning to launch these Tomahawk missiles?" Well, with what? You don't have the launchers, do you? Even some Ukrainians doubt such a transfer. Well, there still aren't any launchers for this anyway. Why fantasize about this topic if the Tomahawk is launched? The Tomahawk is mainly launched from a sea-based launcher. We don't have those, and they won't give them to us. So this issue is already resolved. The American military company Oshkosh Defense has presented a mobile launcher for launching long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles. The new military vehicle was unveiled at the Association of the United States Army exhibition. The launcher, named High Mobility Armored Vehicle, was developed based on already proven tactical vehicles. This launcher looks very similar to the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. It is capable of carrying up to 4 Tomahawk cruise missiles at once and can autonomously launch them at targets. According to company representatives, the American Army has long indicated the need to create such a platform. And right after Donald Trump's decision to transfer Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, the company presented ground-based mobile launchers for Tomahawk missiles. Before that, let me remind you, the United States only had the TYPH-00N launcher to launch Tomahawks from land. All other means were intended for launching from ships. At the same time, the TYPH-00N, which was developed by Lockheed Martin, is a variant of the ship-based vertical launch system Mark 41. The first launches from it were carried out in 2023, and the development of this launcher became possible after the termination in 2019 of the Russian-American Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which prohibited testing and deploying ground-based missiles. Flight range spans 500 to 5,500 kilometers. Thus, let me emphasize again, the appearance of the new mobile launcher for launching Tomahawks happened against the backdrop of discussions about supplying these missiles to Ukraine for strikes against Russia. United States President Donald Trump said he would send Kyiv long-range missiles if Russian President Vladimir Putin doesn't end the war. At the same time, he warned that if Putin refuses to cease fire, things could end very badly for him. That's why I'm leaving it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.